My name is Chavi Hartley, and I'm excited to be your host today. It's my pleasure to introduce our featured guest, Kate Emery, Associate Director of Master's Admissions at Carnegie Mellon University's Tepper School of Business. Kate brings a wealth of experience and is here to walk us through exactly what it takes to submit a standout application to Tepper. Whether you are just starting your application journey or putting on the final touches, this session is designed to help you move forward with clarity and confidence. In this session, we will guide you step by step through the Tepper MBA application process. You'll walk away with practical insights on how to position your strengths and present a compelling story to the admissions committee. What makes Tepper unique? It's a program built on analytical rigor, leadership development, and the powerful fusion of business and technology. Tepper stands at the intersection of data science and core business strategy. Its emphasis on management science combined with collaborative and innovative culture prepares future leaders to thrive in a world increasingly shaped by data and digital transformation. After Kate's walkthrough and presentation, we will open the floor for live Q&A sessions. Here is how you participate. Please use the chat tab at the bottom of your screen to type in your questions. Upvote questions that resonate most with you, and we will prioritize those and answer them first. Thank you. I'll be moderating the sessions and reading out the top questions for Kate to answer. With that, let's dive in, Kate. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much, GMAT Club, for having us here today. I'm so excited to walk through the Tepper MBA application with you and provide you some great information on how to make a strong application. So one thing to note that if you are attending this session, Tepper is able to provide application fee waivers for students who attend this session. So, make sure that your information is gathered so that if you apply, you can take advantage of that fee waiver. All right, I am going to share my presentation. Let me get this up and running. All right, can you see my PowerPoint, Chavi?
Yes.
Awesome. So we're going to jump right into the application. So we are entering in our next cycle of application for the intake to fall 2026. Our deadlines and dates have been released. So I do have our rounds listed 1 through 4 on this screen. I am going to focus primarily on our full-time MBA application, though we do offer our MBA program both full-time in person and part-time online hybrid. It's the exact same application. There are some dates that are a little bit different between the full-time and the online hybrid, but the focus of this session is on the full-time MBA application. So our application components that are listed here are fairly standard across many B schools. Everyone's going to be asking about your academic background, your resume and professional experience, your personal information, but then they might change what they're looking for in terms of essays, official test scores, letters of recommendation, etc. Here at Tepper, we are looking for what we are looking for in a successful applicant is an intellectually curious and motivated individual who is looking to advance their career and become a leader in the intelligent future. Our program focuses on leadership development and analytical decision making. And so those are areas when you are building your application, really reflect on your own personal experience on leadership, decision making, what your goals are. I think we are very goal oriented. So being able to articulate what you want out of an MBA will make you a more compelling candidate. So going back to our different rounds, we offer 5 rounds of application. So our first one, the application is not quite open yet. It will open in August, and the first deadline will be the end of September. Decisions take place about 7 to 8 weeks after the decision deadline. So if you are right now a bit concerned about, do I have enough time to put together a compelling application? These dates and deadlines are listed so that you can work on your application, and a great piece of advice is to submit your application when you think it is strongest. The worst thing you can do is rush an application and try to get it in, and it's not the best snapshot of who you are. Take time and reflect on, again, what your goals are and what you want out of an MBA, and that will help lead you in creating an application that is strong, and then submit that by the deadline that works for you. Now, with our application this year, going into fall 2026 start, we do have one major update from previous years, and that is our essay questions have changed and how we review the essay. And so when I get to that component, I will go in depth on what we're looking for in regards to the essay. So to start, the first part of the application is the easiest, your personal information. So this is your biographical and contact information. One key thing, make sure the email you use in your application is an email you check frequently. Many times students will get locked out of their application because they get locked out of that email because it was made only for business school applications. So make sure you frequently check the messages, because if you're missing something or if we have questions, that's going to be the primary way to contact you, is through your email or application portal. In general, our application is pretty quick. Once you compile all of these components, it takes around 30 minutes to apply. Our application is online, so you can save and come back if you want to work on something or you need more time. But the key thing is, don't forget these deadlines. Once the application closes, if your application isn't complete, it will move to the next round. You can't be too early, but you can be too late. So make sure you write down the deadlines and follow them so that you aren't missing out on when you want to submit your application. So next, academic background. All schools are going to ask for this. Here at Tepper, we do a holistic review of your application. We do look at your academics, so your bachelor's degree, if you have a master's or a higher degree. We do ask for transcripts of all higher education institutions that you have attended. Now, with that, the application itself, you can submit copies. They don't have to be official transcripts for the application. If you are admitted, we have a separate deadline by which official transcripts must be submitted. So application is unofficial. If you have a copy, you can just scan it and upload it. If you have a parchment copy, you can have that sent in. So that is the easy thing, is get copies of your transcripts, submit them with the application. Now, in regards to reviewing your academics, and this is why I have GPA considerations here. It is a common misconception that the GPA will make or break your application. We do a holistic review and we look at everything. And so something to think about is, if you had a bad semester, or maybe you took a course and you didn't do so well in it, don't let that put you down and make you think that you won't do well in business school. With a GPA that might not be the strongest, you do have the option to submit an optional essay. The optional essay is where candidates have the opportunity to explain their personal circumstance, that maybe there's areas in their application that they think might be weak, such as, a GPA that's a little bit low, or maybe classes that you didn't do so well in, a break in your resume, something like that. Do the optional essay. So if you are not as confident on one part of your application, again, with a holistic review, you have the opportunity to explain what the circumstance was and provide additional information. So a question we often get about academic background is, I have a blank degree, can I apply? Our requirement is that candidates must have a 4-year bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university in the United States, or an equivalent degree from a foreign country. So if you're applying with a 3-year bachelor's degree from India, that is allowed because it is an equivalent foreign degree. So that does work for our program. Some other things to think about when submitting information about your academic background. You know, we get the reputation that we have a lot of engineers. That is true, but our MBA also accepts students with backgrounds in humanities and fine arts, social sciences. So we do value the diversity of background and perspective. So if you don't have that traditional trajectory for a business degree, that's okay. You know, you are still eligible to apply, and we love to see individuals that have, you know, a variety of experience when they're applying. So the next component of our application is your professional experience. So this is looking at your resume. So looking at Tepper's own class profiles, the average full-time MBA student is entering Tepper with about 6 years full-time work experience. Now, if you don't have 6 years, again, that isn't going to knock you out of the running, just means we're looking for candidates that have some work experience. So a key thing with your professional experience is review your resume. Make sure it's up to date. Don't leave out any information that you think would strengthen your application and your candidacy. What we look for is full-time work experience post-undergrad. Now, if you worked full-time while you were in undergrad, absolutely leave that on your resume, but also include details about what you did after your undergraduate degree. What positions did you hold? What skills have you developed? Do you have leadership experience? What about hobbies and community engagement? And so thinking about your own background and reflect on, you know, what you've done and what you hope to do, that should help you craft a really strong resume. When crafting your resume, great piece of advice is use a standard format. Usually that's going to be, you know, Times New Roman, 12-point font, 1 to 2 pages. If your current resume is more than 2 pages, look about relevancy. You know, are there things on your resume from, you know, high school that aren't relevant to business school? Maybe leave that off. Think about what would make you a strong candidate. Keep that on your resume and build out from there. It's also really important, especially with the Tepper application, to include the month and the year of your positions. So that would be both starting and ending positions. This is key information that we do use when we're evaluating your application. And so if you don't list the month and the year, it might delay your application because we'll have to follow up with you to get that information. So the next component of our application is official test scores. So we do require an official test score such as the GMAT, the GRE, or the executive assessment. On this slide, we have the middle averages of our GMAT, GRE, and EA from our previous cohort. So when you're looking at your own test scores, this is where you're kind of going to be measuring yourself. Is your test score higher than our middle? That means a very strong candidate. If it's slightly lower, maybe consider taking the test again, or maybe, you know, look at your resume, look at the essays, look at your GPA, again, that holistic review, see where you can better your candidacy in other areas. Now with our official test scores, we do have a waiver policy. So applicants can apply for a test score waiver based on their background. And so if we are not using the official test score, we are looking at the other parts of your application. To request the waiver, it is a question on the application. So when filling out the application, there's a tick box that says, I want to apply for a test score waiver. You would do that when you submit your complete application. Once we get a complete application where someone has requested a waiver, the application is pre-reviewed and they will be informed within 10 business days if they've been granted that waiver. So if someone is eligible and they get that waiver, it is on a case-by-case basis. They don't need to do anything else. Their application will continue in the review process. However, if someone has requested the waiver, but they're not eligible, they don't have enough of a background for us to be sure they'll be academically successful, if they're denied the waiver, they do have the opportunity to submit an official test score. Again, a GMAT, a GRE, an EA, by the next application deadline. And so if you are applying round 1, you request the waiver and you're not eligible, you can still submit an official test score within round 2 or round 3 for your application to be reviewed. Another question we get often is about language proficiency. So if you are coming from a country or a school where English is not used in higher education, we do ask that individuals submit a TOEFL, an IELTS, or a Duolingo English test. Now, if you earned a degree from a non-US institution and your entirety of your education was in English, check to see if your transcript says that. So if your academic transcript says that the sole language of instruction was English, you would then get a waiver for that language proficiency. If your transcript doesn't say it, but your education was completely in English, you can request your institution, usually the registrar or an academic individual, to provide us with a letter stating that your education was in English, and then you can get the waiver for that language proficiency exam. All right, key thing, this is the biggest change we have for this year, is the essays. So at Tepper, we require 1 written essay and 1 video essay. So there are 2 required essays for the application. The change this year is with our written essay. So again, it's 1 required essay. The maximum is 500 words. So it's about 2 pages. Only this year we have provided 2 different prompts. You were able to choose which essay question resonates with you and how you can put forth your best application. So on this screen, I have listed both essay prompts. These are the questions for the application for this next year. You get to choose which one you want to answer. Now, we do not have a preference of one over the other. It is up to you. So we really are looking for candidates that can put their best selves forward. And so looking at the essay prompts, what do you think that you can answer based on your own personal experience that you feel confident about? That's what you should submit with the application. So what makes an essay memorable is when it's authentic. So we are looking for thoughtfulness, intention, reflection, and a willingness to be a little bit vulnerable. So your application, we are getting, resume, your background, your test scores. That doesn't tell us who you are. The essay is where you can really show us who you are, what your personality is like, what your motivations are. So really, this is a very big component of your application. We are looking for students to be real. We are looking for them to be authentic. It does not have to be perfect. Again, we want to see who you are in this essay. Now, the second required essay is a video essay. You will have up to 2 minutes to explain your post-MBA career goals. That's the topic. What are your post-MBA career goals? As I mentioned, Tepper is looking to help you reach that next step in your personal and professional career. So thinking about what goals you have and what your motivation is to join business school is what we're looking for. So that video essay, you get the opportunity to share what that is. So you don't have to have it, so specific, I want to work for X company in this role, but you should have an idea of what industry you want to work in, or maybe what, your long-term career plan is. So kind of what is appealing to you? What do you want to do? Now, the best tip I can give you with a video essay is practice. You only get 2 minutes and you only get 2 shots in terms of recording the video. So practice beforehand, time yourself. The software will cut you off exactly at 2 minutes. And with the software, you get 2 chances to record yourself. So if you are not perfect in 2 chances, it will just submit whatever your second chance was. So make sure you practice this video essay. Make sure you know what you want to say. Be concise and make sure you answer the prompt. Now, I mentioned earlier about with the GPA, there's also an opportunity for an optional essay. This is where you provide us additional information about your candidacy that you want the admissions committee to know. So many times individuals will use the optional essay to explain maybe unexplained resume gaps, context for their recommender selection, maybe their GPA wasn't the highest or they didn't do so well in certain courses. This is a great opportunity to share your background, especially in areas where you think your application might be questioned. If you're uncertain whether or not you should submit an optional essay, you should submit an optional essay. It is just an explanation about certain parts of your application. Right. The next component of our application is your letters of recommendation. We require just one professional letter of recommendation. Ideally, you would pick a supervisor, current or previous. However, anybody who can speak about your professional work experience would be appropriate. Now, a pro tip here, give your reference plenty of lead time for the recommendation. Don't ask them on a Monday to give you a reference by Wednesday. Make sure that they have plenty of time to talk to you about why you're applying for business school and what, would make a strong application for you. Also, make sure you choose a recommender whom you have a strong relationship with. Asking the CEO to give you a recommendation and they have no idea who you are is not going to give you the strongest recommendation. Asking your supervisor who knows what skills you have, who's promoted you, who's championed you, that's a good letter of recommendation. Now at Tepper, we do use the GMAC Common Letter of Recommendation. It is a template that your recommender can use, especially if you're applying for multiple schools. It's very structured and designed. So it asks the same questions. It has the same point scale. So if you are applying for multiple business schools, this is a common way where you can ask for one letter of recommendation and it helps for multiple applications. It also allows us to have our candidates have the same format for all of the letters of recommendation. Now, lastly, you've made it through the paper application. You've submitted a complete application. What's the next step? The next step is our evaluative interview. This is by invitation only and are required. So once a complete application is submitted, you may be invited to interview throughout that application round up until our final deadline for the program. We sometimes get round one applicants that are very strong, but we have stronger applicants and they might be invited to interview during round two. So, if you don't get an invitation right away, don't panic. Everything is how good the applications are when we receive them. So the interviews are structured to get to know you better. As I explained, the application gives us a general snapshot of who you are, but we want to know what your personality is, what your goals are, where your leadership, where your teamwork comes in. And so interviews, again, are structured to see, are you a good fit for Tepper? But also, is Tepper a good fit for you? So questions during the interview are tailored for your unique background. Nothing will surprise you. So all of the questions are based on your application. And your interviewer will have access and will have reviewed everything before they even meet with you. Now, a pro tip going into interviews, reflect about your short-term goals and what you want. Again, motivation-driven, goal-oriented. What do you want when you're entering business school? And how can Tepper help you get there? So identify specific examples based on your background, such as when you worked with a team, or you had leadership experience, when you were challenged and succeeded, or you learned something new. These are great areas in your background that are important when you're sharing during an interview process. Now, our interviews are conducted primarily virtual, though we do schedule in-person interviews for those who are able to visit Tepper in Pittsburgh. If you are invited to interview, you will be given some days and some time slots to select the one that works for you. And so, it's a good idea to grab something that works for you right away because they will fill up pretty quick. All right, so finally, some tips for a strong application at Tepper. Number one, be authentic. Don't try to tell us what you think we want to hear. Tell us what you want, because that is the best way to make a good match, is by being upfront and confident about what your goals are and what you want. And that will help programs look at you and see, can we give you what you want out of a program? So be authentic. We are an intimate program. We're not that huge. And you will have the opportunity to get to know everyone personally. So we want to create a collaborative environment for our community. And so we want to know what you want out of the program and what your goals are and how we can help you reach them. Another really important tip is research the program. Make sure it fits what you want. If Tepper doesn't have a concentration or a program that you want to study, why apply to Tepper? So all of our information is available on our website. We have some great concentrations, some great programs available to students. And so look to see, are we a good fit for you? Articulate your goals clearly. Again, you don't have to have a super specific goal. Your goal could be, I want to go to business school because I want to reach the next level in my career. That's a goal. Great. How can we help you reach that? You don't have to have all the answers, but you should be able to answer, why do you want an MBA degree? That should be your basic question. Review and proofread. This is a common pitfall that students have, where they submit an essay and they put another school's name in that essay. That is not going to show that you're really interested in Tepper. So really review and proofread your whole application before you hit that submit button. If you're worried, have a friend or a colleague review it with you. A second set of eyes can really help. And then lastly, submit early if possible, work on your application, but also take the time to develop your application and be strategic. So if you feel that you're not confident by the round 1 deadline, don't panic, submit by round 2. You want to have the opportunity for those earlier rounds because it gives you more planning time. It gives you more options to discuss and work with Tepper, meet with faculty, meet with other students. But big thing I want to really impress upon you is submit your application when you feel that it is strongest, because that will give us the best snapshot of who you are as a candidate when your application is being reviewed. All right, so I think that goes over our complete application. Chavi, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I know that we might have questions.
Thank you, Kate. That was thorough and enlightening walkthrough of the Tepper MBA application. Let's jump into the question and answers we've received from the audience. Shweta asks, quick question, what % of the current class has admitted with a GMAT waiver?
Of the current class, I don't have that information in front of me. We are still looking at developing that information, like getting the data on that. So unfortunately, I don't have that information in front of me. I'm sorry, Shretha. I will say, when looking at test waivers, a key thing is really look at your own background. If you took a test last year and the score wasn't that great, but you have a great variety of experiences in your professional background, you have, good academics, it might be worth applying for that test waiver.
Thank you. Karanjeet Singh asks, as an AI startup founder, how do my admission chances compare to corporate candidates with similar profiles? Does entrepreneurial experience generally help or hurt at Tepper MBA program? What should I emphasize in my application?
I think you just said it, entrepreneurship. So that is a program we are very well known for, is our entrepreneurship concentration, the Schwartz Center here. So in regards of how you may measure up to corporate candidates, it's really what you put in your application. So if you're providing us a lot of information, if you're giving us a clear snapshot of what your goals are and what you want, and a corporate candidate doesn't do that, you're going to have a stronger application. So really put all of that forward when you're applying for the program. If you're interested in entrepreneurship, we do have a strong program in entrepreneurship. So talking about what you want out of the program, relating it to what Tepper already offers. So if you don't know much about the Schwartz Center, do some research about that. Mention it in your application. Reach out and talk to someone from Schwartz. You can do that. It can all help you better your candidacy. If you're thinking about, you're at an AI startup, how does that tie into Tepper? Well, I mean, I always get happy when someone mentions that because we do have an AI in business concentration. And so it's something that there's a lot of synergy and excitement about right now. And I know our faculty are really interested in new ideas and developing new ways to look at business using data and AI.
Thank you. Vikram Seth asks, do you recommend someone with 3 years of non-tech work by time of matriculation to apply?
So again, we have applicants or candidates, candidates, same thing. We have candidates with a variety of background. If you have full-time work and you want to get an MBA, you're eligible to apply. A key thing with if you don't have a business background, which again, many of our applicants don't have business backgrounds, you just need to be able to articulate, why do you want an MBA? What is the progression there? We definitely have individuals that looking at their resume, you wouldn't necessarily immediately go business school, but they're able to articulate why they want to get a business degree and what they hope that will do for their future. That's an important component of the application. And with meeting with any individual who's in admissions, is can you say what you want out of this?
Thank you, Kate. Mudita is asking, in case the recommender is comfortable to give recommendation from their personal email ID, will that be accepted?
So yes, so we do understand that sometimes due to company organizations, maybe they aren't allowed to use professional email addresses and things like that. They can submit from a personal email, though it is stronger if it's from a professional. If they do, make sure that we have their other contact information. Recommenders, again, we're looking at the professional relationship between you, how they're recommending you, what your skills are, things like that. So yes, they can do it. It doesn't hurt your candidacy, I will put it that way.
Thank you. Shweta Reddy asks, in case of my manager with whom I have a good relationship has moved on to another company, can I get recommendation from one of the colleagues with whom I have worked in the project for more than 2 years?
Yes. Yes. So again, with the recommendation, it should be someone who can talk about your professional skills. And it is always better to get a recommendation from someone who knows what you've done, who's worked with you, who can speak to you as a professional. That's the kind of individual that will work. We do recommend the supervisor because the supervisor has helped you develop as a professional employee. But if it's not possible, someone else who can speak to your work experience can make a good recommender.
Thank you. Chinmay asks, what are the chances of candidate who has major experience in tech and does not have that much experience in leading a team? Then will he be able to get accepted if his main goal is to change domain from tech to consulting?
So again, with our application, we look at the whole picture. We do have many candidates that are looking to pivot. So they're in one career, possibly one industry, and they're looking to join another. As I mentioned, if there's any part of your application where you're not feeling as strong, look to see, well, what can you do? Are there, areas that you've already engaged in terms of leadership that you would want us to know? Were you part of any organization in undergrad? Are you part of any community organizations where you've done leadership? Are there roles where you've mentored others in your current position or a former position? add that to your application. Now, if you don't have strong leadership in your application, again, that's not going to, take you off the list. We're looking at the full picture. But you should reflect on your background and what you want. And so if leadership is a skill you want to develop, add that. Tepper is very strong for leadership development. That's one of the components of our MBA. So, when you're looking at yourself as a candidate, reflect on what you're strong in, what your weaknesses are, highlight your strengths, but don't ignore the weaknesses. Maybe you want to develop those. That's also a good building block for higher education, is developing those skills that you are looking to have or strengthen.
Thank you. Vanessa Bene, she's asking, hi, for example, some of us, we were made redundant along with our supervisors in the humanitarian sector, so they all have personal emails and no alternative information. Should we include this information in the optional essays?
Yes, that is a great use of the optional essay, is explaining the redundancy, but also explaining, here's my recommender. They will be recommending from this contact information due to this. The optional essay really is any component of your application that you think might be questioned. Common areas where individuals are questioned are, academic background, gaps in their resume, and possibly, explaining why they asked a certain person to recommend them or something about the recommender.
Thank you, Kate. Sapna Patel asks, hi, I'm an MBBS doctor from India with 6 years of experience across clinical practices, public health, and medical affairs. I'm planning to pivot into business leadership through an MBA, but may not be ready for GMAT prep this cycle. Does Pepperdine, oops, I think, does Tepper offer GMAT waivers for experienced non-traditional candidates? Also, are there any advantages or specific support for non-traditional applicants during the admission process?
So I'm going to go and focus on the waiver first. So the waiver is available to you. So if you think that you would be a good candidate for the waiver, absolutely put that on, request that when you apply. The waiver is not guaranteed. It is a case-by-case basis. But areas where you would, I'm trying to think of the way to word it. I think areas what we look for when reviewing a candidate for a waiver are professional experience, academic background. We want to see, can you do well in the academics? This is something where no school is going to admit you thinking that you're going to fail. Everybody wants you to succeed. And so when reviewing candidates, we want to bring you in and help you reach your goals. And so if you have a lot of professional experience, it sounds like you do. It sounds like you have a lot of education experience. You can always submit the waiver application and be reviewed for that. When submitting the waiver application, also make sure that you submit that complete application. Make sure your resume is good. Make sure that you've reviewed the essay a couple of times and you feel very confident with what you put forward. Now looking at, the support services for individuals throughout the application process, when you apply, you're working with admissions counselors. So at Tepper, we do have quite a few admissions counselors, and we're here to answer questions. We travel around, we meet with prospective students. We offer application workshops and information sessions about our programs. And so non-traditional candidates, we get quite a few. Again, 6 years work experience is the average. So we do have candidates that come in with a couple years work experience, and we also have candidates with 15 plus years of work experience. This all comes together to make a very diverse class. And so, yes, there is support through the admissions counselors who are here to answer your questions and help you with the application process.
Thank you, Kate. Bharat Senath, he asks, hi, Kate, thank you so much for the talk. A general question. What are some things in the application process that applicants over or undervalue?
Oh, this is a great question. One thing that I feel that candidates might overvalue is they focus very strongly on the quantitative, the GPA and the test scores, and they think that is the only thing that will get them into the program. That is not true. We do, again, it seems almost cliche to say this holistic review, but we are looking at everything. Again, we want to bring in successful candidates. And so sometimes people focus very narrowly on one part of the application, and then they don't put a lot of reflection into the other parts of application. Definitely don't do that. I like to advise people like a checkbox. Spend time on, your biographical information, on your academics, on your essays, on your recommendation, so that when you submit it, you feel really, really confident.
Thank you. Nilesh has a question. Hi, Kate. Could you please let me know which consulting firms hire international students at Tepper? And anything at Tepper that focuses on SMEs, consulting, or nonprofit?
That's a very specific question on the career outcomes. I can't list all of the consulting firms that hire international students at Tepper. I will say that our career placement is quite high among Tepper graduates. Most of our graduates have job offers up to more than 3 months before they graduate. The way that our program is set up, you will be working with our Master's Career Center from the time you're admitted throughout your entire program towards when you finish. In terms of international students, I know many people are very keen to know, is Tepper a STEM eligible program? We are. So if you are coming in, you would be eligible for OPT, including the STEM OPT extension. We do have good job placements for our students. So unfortunately, I'm not going to say these are the top 5 companies. If you are looking at that, we have student profiles on our website where you can see individual students and what careers they've entered and who they're working for.
Kate, thank you once again for your time and for sharing such valuable insights. We are almost running out of time. It's been an absolute pleasure to learn more about what makes Tepper's MBA program so distinctive and how applicants can put their best foot forward. To everyone who joined us, thank you so much for being here today. We hope this session gave you the clarity and direction that you were looking for as you prepared for this application round. Reminder, a recording of today's session will be available, so please feel free to revisit the conversation at your convenience. If we didn't get to your question, please don't hesitate to reach out directly to Tepper's admission team. They're always happy to support you. And on behalf of the team, I wish you the very best luck in your MBA journey. Any closing remarks, Kate?
I just want to say, an application to business school should be taken very seriously, but don't let this stress you out so much. Focus on yourself and what you want to do, and it will be easy. Thank you so much, GMAT Club, for having us. I look forward, hopefully, to seeing some applications with our next cycle. And if you do have questions, please feel free to reach out to us here at Tepper. We're more than happy to, set up meetings with you, answer those questions, and get to know you as candidates better.
Kate, do you have any email you would like to share for people to reach out to you at?
Yes, they can reach me directly at kemery, which K and my last name, at cmu.edu. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.